Hey, welcome to Guitar Knobs, the guitars, gear, noise, and nonsense podcast, hosted today by these knobs.
Go, Jared.
Jared Brandon.
I'm going to leave the Go Jared in there. And me, Todd Novak. How's everybody doing? And we have a returning special guest for a very specific reason. And that might be...
Me? Mattoverse?
Perfect. Yes, you win.
Yeah.
That is the correct answer.
You want me to reference some new pedals, you mean?
Yeah, you have a couple of announcements, and I asked very nicely and politely if we might help to break those. So we'll hopefully be, doing that. I know you already have a little bit out there, but for the rest of the world that may be not paying attention to Instagram intently, which I don't know who isn't, because you've got one of the best Instagram feeds out there. But we'll get into that in just a little bit. So let's get to it. What's going on in our music worlds this week? Jared.
My 62 Gibson SG is one of my prized possessions. I love that guitar. It's one of my favorites. And the neck on it is Y. And just my favorite era of Gibson SGs. And the neck position, pickup position, has not been working. And for those of you who don't know, I build pickups for a living. I repair them for a living. And believe it or not, it's been broken or non-working for about 4 months. I just haven't gotten around to it. And so this past week, I decided to get it out. And I say, I'm going to nip this in the bud. Because the pickup works. I know that. But I finally figured out the problem. And I took the pot off the harness and messed around with that. And I mean, it's a 1962 potentiometer, volume potentiometer. So it's really super old. And but that wasn't the problem either. So I finally figured out that it was in the switch. And there's some contacts in that switch. If any of you out there have ever taken your guitar apart and you have an old Gibson three-way switch, toggle switch, you'll notice there's these little brass connector thingies that they're either connected or they're not, and that controls your switching. So I just took a very fine, like a 2000 grit sandpaper, and gently scored those little connectors, and by golly, it works perfect again. So that's what I did. I repaired my old guitar and didn't really have much time in it, and I was really glad I didn't have to take anything else apart or replace the pot, which would have been a nightmare, because being it's a 1962, I would have been anal retentive and would have had to have an original 1962 replacement, because it would just get on my nerves knowing it wasn't the right pot in the guitar.
Nice.
Yeah, so also, just to add to that, I've got a 64 Gibson SG Special, and that I just required recently, and I had Tony with Pick Guardian. He made a new pick guard for that, and he does the best job. It looks good on the guitar, and he scraped the plastic, and he conditioned the plastic so it kind of looks older. So I'm really happy with that too. And pretty soon I'm going to get a different bridge put on it. In fact, it's in the mail right now. So I'm anticipating putting this newer bridge on this guitar, so I could put some smaller gauge strings on it. So
Nice. You get stressed out playing those guitars? I'm guessing they got some price to them.
Not, I know, but I keep them at home. I never take them out.
Gotcha.
So I just really enjoy them at home. When the wife's at work, I'll just plug it in and take, if I'm working in my shop and I'm working, and if I get stressed out about something or I just need to step away for a minute, I'll plug a guitar in and just let loose, and that makes everything better. It clears my head, and then I can walk in and complete the task. So that's one of the perks of having a shop at around where you live. So, or underneath where you live, technically. So,
but that's not where it is. Just in case. That's cool. Well, thank you for sharing, Jared.
No problem,
That's
man.
really sweet. Matt, what's going on with you, man?
Just building pedals. I just doing a few micro runs of a few different pedals. Basically, just runs of 10, and then I usually keep one or maybe keep two at times. But just trying out some stuff, just ideas I had that I wanted to put out there just for the heck of it. So, been mainly building those and trying to get on top of making demos and taking photos and all that crap. So
that has got to take an awful lot of time. I mean, I do this and I know how much time this takes, and I also do a lot of that sort of thing for my actual work, the real job I have, and I'm impressed with the amount that you put out and constantly making it new.
Yeah, it's kind of hard. I mean, luckily I get to sort of scratch a bunch of different itches by doing it. I get to play guitar and stuff, or other synth stuffs, and build the things and work on the artwork and screw around with the video software. So I tend to get burn out in one area, but then I might get re-excited by screwing around in a different area, I guess, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I get sort of zenned out doing it, to be honest.
That's a common thing. That's what almost everybody that we've had on, regardless of what they're building, that sentence almost always has been uttered.
Yeah, it's sort of weird. It's some days, you'll be doing it all day and you just, get a crick in your neck and get sort of tired of doing it. But then there's other times where it's, about time to go to sleep and I'm sort of like feeling like soldering.
Yeah. I know. I do the same thing on a very, very, very small level. And I thoroughly enjoy it. So I can only imagine, like, once you get in a groove where you're not worrying about either messing it up or making sure that you're not putting the wrong part in, where it just kind of becomes second nature to you, it's probably really great.
Yeah, I mean, especially it's a little easier when you're building 10 or 20 or something, or in a row, because then you sort of remember how you did it each time. So
yeah, and you're listening to Slayer while you're doing that, right?
Yeah.
Is that
usually a variety of podcasts? This podcast and other guitar podcasts, but then just a lot of like totally not guitar podcast kind of stuff at all too. So.
Oh, I see. So you can just zone out and not pay attention. Oh, I understand what you're saying. No, that's cool. I envy those who are building things at the level that you guys are, because it's a special thing to be able to do, and I think getting the enjoyment, getting the like you mentioned, the Zen factor out, and also aiding to your livelihood is solid.
Well, I can vouch that you put a lot of effort into the video portion of it, because I mean, right before our podcast, I was kind of looking through, and this particular rhythm division drone and the MTLA or the MTL assembly, I watched that video probably 6 times. It just it reminds me of old video games, and you got the weird background going on. I mean, I was so into that. I don't ask me why. I don't know, because it was just really.
No, I'm just kidding.
I said no. No, it's really, really super awesome. It's just, I don't know, the combination of the sound and what you got going on, the little fingers turning the knobs and the pedal with the like the creepy weird
just
background.
Don't do it with your actual feet, please.
Yeah.
There's one guy that does a Craigslist. He posts a lot, or enough to where I think it's a lot. But I hate this, but I recognize this dude's got feet that I'm not going to say
like bare feet
are bad
on the pedals.
But I would really prefer not seeing them. And why do you insist on showing your feet when you're taking pictures. He does like lay down. He'll like put it on the floor and stand above it and then take a picture. I'm like, get your feet out of there.
Like bare feet?
Yeah, the bare nasty man feet. Like, no, dude.
Why would you want to buy a pedal from a vehicle?
Well,
that's icky.
I haven't bought anything from him. Anyways, let's see. What's going on in my world, you ask? Well,
That's right.
What a great segue.
Ooh.
I have a show coming up this weekend for our Johnny Cash tribute, and I'm trying to work out a new rig. I'm running my Godin 5th Avenue Kingpin, which has a P90 in it. It's a hollow body. It just looks cool. I've mentioned that before. I'm saying it again. Deal with it.
Yeah, those are neat guitars.
Yeah, it sounds great, but a P90 doesn't necessarily, when plugged in, sound like an acoustic guitar. So
Yeah.
I have to do some finagling there. And I've decided this time to run it out of not my tube amp, but my Mustang 3. So I have it set to the completely dry, no effects twin setting. And then I am running a LR Bags Para direct input acoustic direct box with the preamp and a 5-band EQ on it. It's pretty much, from what I hear from others who are playing acoustic guitars, which I'm not actually playing acoustic guitars, but this is like the go-to pedal. Like if you want your acoustic guitar to sound awesome in a live situation plugged in, this is what you need to use. That's just according to some people who do it a lot. So I'm going with them on this. Anyway, so I tried to get that dialed in. It's pretty touchy. There are 1, 2, 3, 4. So there's 5-band EQ, but with 2 of those bands, there are secondary knobs, and there's also a volume knob, and there's an invert, so you can invert the phase on it. And hopefully I said that right. It's not actually my pedal, so I'm borrowing it. So I'm allowed, if that's wrong, I am sorry. But there's an invert button. It says invert. And you can go in through your effects loop or just direct through XLR too. So
Nice.
it's a pretty versatile piece of equipment and really reasonably priced. So you can pick one up used, I think, for like $94 or something like that. I've seen them as low as that. But it didn't have that sort of acoustic chime, that multiplicity of sound that you can get from an acoustic guitar. It's hard to explain, but so then I also have a Boss AC3, which is the acoustic simulator, which by itself kind of sounds like you're running an acoustic simulator. But when paired with this, all of a sudden it woke up. And I was like, oh, that. And I have it set to the standard. There's 4 settings on that. Standard, jumbo, one called enhance, and one called Bezo.
No, let me ask. Bezo. Yeah, do you, and I'm not familiar with the bags thing.
Yes.
So where is the pickup, or what kind of device do you?
Well, it's like a box. It's like a preamp box.
So it's just,
so
it doesn't even go on the guitar.
No. It runs in between your signal between the guitar and the amp.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say
or shall I say, if you're running an XLR cable, you're just going direct into the board.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
why don't you just play an acoustic if that's what the
right? And what I was gonna say, was
That would
as
be-
well, is that if, like a violin, for instance, they sell, and I think you might be
little
familiar with
mics that
this,
sit on
little
top,
mics that just go directly where the sound, over the sound hole.
Yep.
That's where the best sound comes out of that sound hole.
I completely agree, and I just happen to be doing 3 lefts to make a right. That's the only thing. I got this guitar and I was like, I love this. I want it. And that's what I do when I want something.
Right.
And
Me too.
I got it, and it looks awesome.
It's a disease.
And every single time I've tried to play, I know I'm doing it wrong. I know that I should just get an acoustic and either go with, the electronics in the acoustic out or mic it or something. But I haven't done that yet. Maybe down the road. So anyways, it sounds good. Sounds good. And I did test it up against my friend let me borrow his Takamine. He's got a really nice cutaway electronic. And I plugged both of them into the exact same amp, and I tell you what, mine sounded better.
Nice.
So that was a tiny little okay, good. I'm not going to sound like a moron up there.
I think it's hard to get a good plugged-in acoustic sound. I've never had much luck doing it. It always sounds sort of funny coming through PAs for some reason. They're either like too bright and strummy or too woody and
right. I know the crowd. I don't think you're going to have anybody out in a crowd that will say, "Hey, wait a minute, that doesn't sound like Johnny Cash in the '60s and '70s."
Yeah,
that guitar sounds like it's a piezo guitar.
Yeah,
who in the heck's going to say that out?
Nobody. I don't know. Well, I say it, and that's a problem. If it gets in your head. If you're playing and you're like, "This doesn't sound right. Something's off." It's like if you mess up a lyric. Most people aren't going to know, but and that will throw you. Yeah. That throws me off, anyways. So
it's true. Yeah,
it's hard. I guess the mark of a professional is that it doesn't bother you anymore, because I'm not one. I'm not a professional. Anyways, so we have Matt from Mattoverse on the line right now, and he is a return interviewee. Our first interview, if you care to listen, you can go to theguitarknobs.com and listen to it for free. That's right. Yeah, and that's actually one of our highest rated episodes that we've got as far as numbers go. So people out there like you, man.
They should buy some pedals then.
Yeah. Well, maybe maybe, I don't know. I won't even say we're going to move the needle. But hey, you never know. I don't know. So we got you on today because we talked over the internet through typing in words, and you told me, "Hey, man, I've got 2 new pedals coming out," and I thought, "That's cool. Let's get that word out there. Let's let you talk about them a little bit."
Yeah, appreciate it.
Yeah. So we're going to get into that as soon as you tell us your
4 on the floor?
1, 2, 1, 2, 3. 4 on the floor.
I'm ready this time.
Go for it.
All right. The first would be Boss OC2. Always a favorite pedal of mine.
Ah. Is that the OC2? So is that an old one, or?
It's just like the octave down one, but it does sound different than the OC3. I think the OC3 was more like digital, like the POG sort of, or something like that.
Yeah, that's the one you hear most people actually referencing. It's at least that's why I asked, because it sounded.
I mean, I never got obsessed enough to search out any particular one, but I did have a few different ones over the years, and they definitely all sort of had their own character, and some sort of tracked better than others. But I always thought those were fun pedals to play with. And I didn't really use the 2 octaves down, but I like to mix the octave down in a little bit for fun.
It just kind of standard, just kind of running it like that all the time, or
sometimes just for weird leads and stuff, or for some particular single line riff that would sound more fun with extra bottom end, I guess.
Nice. Now, do you use that with bass too?
At that point when I was using them, I didn't play that much bass, so I'm not sure how well they were. I think they didn't really seem like they tracked super well as you got lower on the strings. So I'm guessing maybe on bass it might have been sort of a warbly mess.
Oh, but you like the warble.
Yeah, I'm into weirder sounds now, I guess.
Yeah. All right. What's number 2?
Number 2 would be MXR micro amp. It's just a little 1 knob boost pedal. I was going to think about putting the ZVEX show or super hard on there because I really like that one too. But the micro amps seem like a little bit brighter or something. So
that one gets pretty high marks. I know when I was looking for my first attempt at looking for a boost or a preamp type thing, that one always was in the running with basically any conversation around those kind of pedals.
Yeah, I sort of like to use low wattage amps. They're sort of like turned up to the point where they're almost breaking up.
Mm-hmm.
And something like the micro amps sort of just gives you more gain without that much more volume because the amp's already sort of pretty much at its headroom peak.
Yeah. Pushing it. Cool, man. And what do you got for number 3?
Probably just like a Crybaby, Dunlop Crybaby wah. I never really got too crazy investigating a bunch of different wahs. I had the Vox one or whatever too, but that's the one I remember from my youth, always being on the board.
The Vox?
No, the Dunlop.
The Dunlop,
just the standard, $70
Well, it's weird because
Crybaby.
there's so many versions of that, and it's, they haven't really distinguished themselves very well between the different models. I mean, you just have to look at the bottom for the most part. But I'm curious, I wonder if they're ever going to do an optical version of that. And I don't know. I don't think they have. I'm pretty sure they haven't, but I wonder what is stopping them from doing that, just evolving the pedal.
Yeah, I don't know. I know Morley does a lot of. I used to have a Morley endorsement back in the day, and they had a bunch of optical volume and wah pedals they did.
If I'm wrong out there and they've done that, send me a letter and I will apologize to you. Yeah, we talked about Crybabies a while back. That's one of those pedals that you in your guitar career you probably buy and sell about 3 times.
Yeah, you're just like, it's not, because with wahs it's hard to get I never had one that I like totally loved.
Right. Right. And then you're like, this thing's taking up room. I can go get another pedal if I sell it.
Yeah.
Well, and now pedal boards are, smaller. So the small,
miniature ones.
Yeah, the mini ones. I kind of want to get my hands on one of those, but an optical one, I think I want to try that. Anyhow. All right. Give me number 4.
Number 4 would probably be the venerable DL4 line 6.
That's the green one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was probably like sort of the first, big delay pedal I remember. And I liked that you could do I think it had like a limited 20 or 30 seconds of looping you could do on it. So it was enough to be able to play a chord progression and then noodle over the top of it or work on playing parts together.
I see those come up a lot on Craigslist, and it's kind of weird because especially the line 6, I mean, they make good stuff, but their casings they're huge.
Yeah, those are huge. Yeah, no, that was a pedal that you'd always take off your board too because it sort of needed its own power supply or 4D batteries, and a lot of times you're only using 1 or 2 of the things on there, so you didn't need something to be that full featured. But
yeah,
I remember having a lot of fun with it at the time.
Well, they still hold their value. I mean, they range from, I think I've seen them on Reverb for about $150.
Yeah.
So I mean, for a used pedal that's hasn't really evolved much from that one.
It's 15 years old, so.
Yeah, not bad. All right, man. Well, thank you. That's a good little lineup. We'll get that up on the blogosphere shortly, and glad that we got that one out of you on the second round. Okay, Matt of Mattoverse, lay it on us, man. Tell us about your brand new pedals.
Yeah, I guess I have a few new pedals. 2 are, I guess, new, and 1 is sort of an update of a pedal I already do. But I'm just doing, really small runs of them. You need to order 10 enclosures, I think, to be able to get the custom order done. So
are you getting this through Mammoth?
Yeah, I've been doing all my enclosures
Yeah.
through Mammoth since I stopped drilling them and painting them myself. Yeah.
It's a lot easier.
Yeah, I mean, it was like, it's hard to be really super precise over and over and over with like punching the holes yourself and using the drill press. And plus it's like pretty messy and you got to like dip them in like some sort of a solvent to clean the cutting oil off of them. And
Yeah. It's a commitment.
yeah. I mean, it was good. I probably did like 100 plus pedals that way. And it was definitely a good learning experience. But once you sort of get the first few enclosures under your belt, then it gets a bit easier to get things lined up how you want.
Yeah. And I mean, this way you're also able to, do some of like the textured bodies and stuff.
Yeah, I've been doing pretty much all textures lately just because I find for doing videos, like they don't reflect the lights. So that's a big help.
Oh, interesting.
But also they sort of like, I don't know, I feel like they like hold up better. They like, I don't know, they look more sometimes with like a shiny coat, like you notice any tiny imperfection, and I'm sort of a perfectionist about it. So then I drive myself crazy. So
They look kind of modern too with like the matte color as well.
yeah, I'm just doing mostly like, just like one single color of ink and single color powder at this point. But
so before we get deep into the drives, tell me about your little icon that you have.
oh, like the little guy,
Yeah.
like the little ghost looking guy or whatever.
Yes.
I don't know. That was just something like, it's basically just like a combination of a couple pieces of like clip art. Of like this, like, and this, I use this Pixelmator program on the Mac. It's like a cheap Photoshop or whatever, but like they have like some built-in shapes in there or whatever that you can manipulate, and that's just like a combination of a couple of the shapes. I pretty much do all my art for the pedals in that program with shapes at this point.
Awesome.
It's just like moving squares and adding circles on top of each other and things like that. So,
well, it's weird because it's got a bit of it's almost like anti-art in a way, by the fact that you're doing that, not necessarily based on concept but based on, well, there's that thing. I could use that. Like that's a shape I haven't used. Let's put that on there.
yeah, well, I mean, it's like usually like you have like infinite, possibilities of how you can manipulate the shape, and then you can do effects that bend things and things like that. But yeah, like that little guy, I put it on like what, drone synthesizer or something, and then I sort of liked it. Then I started just like putting a little one on all the pedals. Is just sort of like, I don't know, I couldn't really think of an emblem, besides like an M with a circle around it.
Mm-hmm. That works, man. And
I have like a lot of that sort of already on buttons and stickers and things like that. So
yeah, it kind of looks like it's almost like the a cross between like the Unknown comic and which for anybody that doesn't know what that's a pretty old reference. Whoa. So anybody that, now that I've uttered that, Unknown comic was this guy whose shtick was he just wore a paper bag over his head with two holes, and he was really famous for that.
Yeah.
I mean, his jokes probably weren't that awesome, but he was the only guy who said, "Hey, what if I put a bag on my head?" And sort of like a Pac-Man head too. It's like, what is it? It begs more question than anything. Like, what is that?
Yeah,
which is cool.
Exactly.
If you can get somebody to just fixate on what is that, that's good. Which I think you kind of do with your pedals anyways, regardless of what they look like. Like the Warble Room. What is that?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I do all my own artwork and branding or whatever people call it, I guess. So I'm definitely no expert at it. I just sort of like mess around with stuff that makes me happy for a while, then move on to the next.
Well, they're attractive, so that counts for something, man. What? So speaking of like super really weird and really out there, the first pedal that you're going to share with us is a what? Is a drive.
Oh yeah. Well, the drive is basically like, I've always like, since I started making pedals, like I've always wanted to just like, instead of buying, I still buy pedals to try and stuff, but instead of like, I wanted to like build I sort of have this long range fantasy of like building all of my own equipment eventually, then like making a record with like all of my own gear, if that makes sense. It's sort of like a pipe dream kind of an idea. But
I bet you're not that far off.
I haven't built any like microphones or anything like that yet.
Oh, geez, so, that sounds really hard.
Yeah, but I mean, I guess at the end of the day, you're still gonna have to run it probably into something you can't build.
Or you could also just yell into some pickups.
Yep, exactly. But yeah, I mean, along that line, it was just like I'd been messing around with a bunch of different like overdrive prototypes and give them to a buddy of mine, and it was just like, well, I like it enough to like, I want to have one with like the real enclosure and stuff, And I was like, yeah, I'll throw it out there, and I like put a demo of the prototype up, and a lot of people seemed like someone interested in it, which I was actually surprised about, since there is so many like drive for distortion or overdrive or fuzz or whatever you want to call it out there. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, but if you think about it, I mean, you've kind of created your own little niche in the pedal world, and just like anything, once you become a fan of something, you're infinitely more apt to buy into whatever the next thing is that brand is offering.
Yeah, if people like the aesthetic or whatever, they might be interested to give it a try.
Yeah. Well, and I think you're doing a good job of setting up a precedent of saying, hey, the thing that I'm going to make is going to be different, unique, weird, wonderful, or a combination of all those things based on the pedals you've already made. So subsequently, anything else that you put out, the expectation is that it will fall under that umbrella, regardless of what it is, and that therefore it's a more desirable thing to have.
Yeah, well, hopefully we'll see. I mean, I don't like to like, there's a kind of type of advertising. It's like, this is the best of whatever it is. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Or this is the cheapest, or this is the best for the price, or this is like the most boutique. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and I'm not really interested in like, if
Did
people
you
want to do
just
that,
subliminally advertise that this was the best, cheapest, most awesome thing? You did.
No, that would be funny if I was that clever, but no. But you know what I mean? Like, I'm not trying to like, I don't, to me, like a lot of that stuff is super subjective, like the kind of tones people get into, especially in a drive pedal. So it's like, it's basically just saying like, I made one that I kind of like, so if you like the other stuff I do, you might like it. And it's just like, for me that's why I'd like to do like a micro run, because it's pretty low risk. You know what I mean?
Sure.
I'm not like spending $50K to develop some product. You know what I mean? Like, it's a lot of time commitment, but as far as like the cost to build 10 isn't like debilitating to the budget.
So tell us about the drive. So what did you do with it that you liked so much and thought that we would too?
I guess I just wanted to make something that sort of did like a lighter drive, but then could go to like, pretty fully overdriven. Initially the idea was that like a lot of times at night I'm playing, I just wanted something that I could run into a quiet amp that sort of got me a little bit of an overdriven sound that I wanted and didn't sound, I don't know, too weird. I guess it's sort of hard to describe the subjective parts of it, but
can you talk about any of the choices that you made on parts or anything like that?
Yeah, I mean, I guess like I did experiment a lot with different tone control options on there, because people always seem to want tone controls, but at the end of the day, I just didn't really. I always had like tone control like all the way up, so
yeah,
I just decided that it wasn't. You know what I mean? It's like, and especially in this case, it was like I'm just building this because I want one, and I'll put the other 8 or 9 out there in case somebody else wants one. But it's not like
if they really want an EQ, they can go get a pedal with an EQ on it.
Yeah, it's just for me. I'm old and deaf, so I never want things to be darker.
Right. So this is, I mean, it's almost like a glorified boost to a certain degree, just in the sense that you have, one of your main knobs there is volume. For anybody that hasn't seen it yet, There is a gain knob and a volume knob. So effectively, you could use it as a boost or an overdrive.
Yeah, it gets pretty. It wouldn't do like a clean boost at all, I don't think, but it does have like a ton of extra volume. Because if you're like if you're comparing it to a clock, if the volume knob is like at 10 o'clock, that's like unity gain with your amp. So anything beyond that, which is like another 2/3 of the control, is all additional volume.
That's
I guess
a lot of volume after that. But if you have your if you have your gain all the way down, or you will get a signal with the volume, right?
Oh yeah.
Okay. So you kind of go from a sweep of maybe a boost with a little bit of tooth to it, into almost an overdriven sound, all the way to like full on distortion. Sounds like. Yeah,
it gets pretty distorted. Yeah. Sorry, I'm a terrible salesman, I guess. But
no, see, you're doing that. We all know what you're doing. You're subliminally making us want the pedal.
Well, hopefully that's the case, but I don't know. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, yes, fine. What I wanted to say about these micro runs is like, yeah, these are all like, I don't know if I'll make any more of it because I don't think the world needs another drive pedal. You know what I mean? And I haven't tried all the drive pedals to know if I've done anything that's any more interesting than any of the other drive pedals. You know what I mean? Like, I could pretend and say, oh, it's the greatest, or whatever.
There you go again.
But I don't think that you know what I mean? I can't. It might be the greatest for a certain person, but not for everybody, I'm sure.
Interesting. So what we've gotten out of this is that it's a small run, and it's the greatest. So let's see here. You said, I'm going to bring up the small run thing again, because literally, people, if you are listening to this and you're interested, I'm going to try to get this live as soon as I can, but you had better move on it if you want to pick one of these up. And Matt, where will you be able to get these pedals, by the way?
They're on my website, Mattoverse.com, and then I usually put everything on Reverb as well.
Okay, so you have a small run on both Mattoverse and Reverb?
Yeah, like I have a thing that like the inventory is sort of shared between the two places, so that
smart.
So it's not like, I don't have to like put just one in one spot or whatever. I can like, if I sell one on Reverb, it takes it out of my inventory in my online store or whatever.
Right. All right, man. So you're going to have 10 of those up there, yeah?
I think there's 8.
8 left. There. Holy mackerel.
Yeah.
Man, by the time this thing goes live, I hope there's some, or else people are going to be mad at first me, then you.
So, yeah, you never know. There's only one of the kick drum pedals left.
Yeah, let's talk about that. So next pedal, just one left?
Yeah.
Holy mock.
That one I only had like 8 that were available.
So you're going to, let's be honest, you're going to do another run, right? Are you going to do another run?
I'm not sure. You know what I mean? I'm just sort of like, I'm pondering, I guess.
Because by the time we end up, by the time we wrap up this podcast, that one will probably be gone.
Well, I don't know. I wish if they sold that quick, that'd be nice. But
yeah,
you never know.
So let's talk about the kick drum pedal, because that's a weird one. I checked it out and I said, well, yep, Mattoverse made this. It's weird, all right. So tell us about it.
Yeah, that was just sort of a passion project for me. For a while, I tried to do like a one-man band kind of thing, because I thought like just playing acoustic guitar for a whole set and some guy singing gets sort of old. So I tried to bring like I'd bring like a bass drum, and then I wanted like another sound, so I'd try and bring a hi-hat, and then tried to bring a snare drum and put a kick pedal on a snare drum, but then you sort of had to prop the snare drum up, and then you couldn't really attach the kick, so I had to sort of like rig up these things. And then I also tried to like, you can just get like an electronic drum set, and take like the kick drum,
like the trigger
from that, and then take like a another trigger and get another kick drum pedal, and then I ran that into like one of those old Alesis drum head things, and that was actually sort of fun. But the sounds were pretty 80s, I guess. For
it sounds like there's an opportunity to one up the Converse wah pedal there.
Put it in your shoe,
yeah. Put the trigger in your shoe, and then you just stomp along with it. That's
I'm not that smart. I mean, there's already it's basically I'm sure you've seen they make some people make it's like a wood block or something, and they might put like a piezo pickup in there. Or they might put which is basically like a contact mic. Or I've seen other people do it different ways. This one was more it's just like a transistor bass drum. The controls are pretty simple.
So let me describe this really quick for those who have not seen this. Looks like it's in a black sparkle case. Is that correct?
Yeah, I was trying to think of something that would be like an old bass drum.
Right. Yeah, I mean, sure. That looks like an old bass drum to me. I'll play along. And you've got that's almost like a muff size pedal, isn't it?
It's a big box. Originally, it was like the standard box size. I have like an earlier version that's like the standard. Then I found when I was stomping on it, your whole foot is bigger than the box then. So
kind of all over it. So it's got a tone knob, a body knob, and a volume. Tell me about the body knob.
The body knob is pretty subtle. It's actually almost more like decay of the sound, I guess. But it's sort of funny because when you run it through a guitar amp, based on the frequency response of a guitar amp, it sounds different than if you just run it into a recording interface with headphones on. You know what I mean? It almost feels like that body knob works backwards. And so I was primarily, using it through a guitar amp while playing guitar. So that's sort of where the labels came from. It
makes me think how you're describing it. It makes me think of how almost like mic proximity.
Yeah, to a certain degree, yeah.
You know what I mean? Because if you got the mic right in the air hole on the front panel, it's full, and then if you back it off, you get all the ambientness of it.
And the body control is pretty subtle. I think you'd maybe be more noticeable through a larger amp or a bass amp or a PA or something.
Yeah.
Because this thing's putting out primarily low frequencies, that most guitar amps aren't necessarily, dialed in to be bass amps or amps for kick drums or whatever. So because of that, sort of the EQ looks different as it's running through a guitar amp versus a more flat, full range speaker system.
And then at the actual switch, that's a momentary switch, yes?
Yep.
Okay. Now, if you hold it down, does it repeat?
No. That's a fun idea, though.
Yeah, that could actually probably get pretty messy live, I suppose.
Yeah.
Well, it's a super interesting pedal. So if you haven't seen these yet, and to be honest, you kind of have to you'd have to be following Mattoverse on Instagram to have probably had the best crack at seeing these. But if you go to Instagram or Mattoverse, you can check out the demos for these and just see what it's all about, and also get to see his cool videos that he does.
That kick drum was pretty hard to demo, actually. I tried a lot of different, because it was hard to demo the kick drum pedal.
So what made that so difficult?
Just because trying to plugging it in direct to like a recording program or whatever, it sounds way different than it sounds coming out of a speaker.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it was hard to try and capture that, I guess, effectively. So I know some people have said about the video, like, oh, they just want to hear the kick drum alone more, or whatever. And I'm like, well, there's only one left, so I don't have much.
See, but how many people ask that?
I don't know.
A lot, huh? Come on, be honest, a lot.
I don't think a lot of people are looking, I guess.
I think they are. I'm pretty sure they are. They will be, especially after the world hears this. Cool, man. So, well, I got to be honest. I'm super excited about the whatever crazy stuff you come up with next. I love the fact that you are pushing things into almost completely singular needs that we didn't even know we needed. That's kind of fun. Do you have any other plans of new things coming forward that you can maybe hint at?
I guess the other micro on that I probably come out with soon is just like an update to that drone tone pedal. And it basically just like improves the pitch stability between the pulsing and the drone sound, and then it's just got like a tone control for the drone, so you can make it darker or less bright, however you want to look at it.
Could I throw in? I'm going to act. This is in my email to you, dear Mattoverse. I like your drone pedal. I like it a lot. However, I have found that the signal gets somewhat lost in my pedal board mix. Is there anything you could do about that? Signed, wish I had more volume.
Gotcha. I think this one may have better output than the original drone tone. But the weird thing is like the drone sound, I don't know if it's just because it's such a raw square wave, it doesn't it's not super affected by like modulation pedals and stuff that you run it into, I find. But I think it should, like, usually I try and set it so that the volume goes up to the same volume the guitar would be at.
Yeah, well, when I had it on my board, I guess I was expecting it to be more prominent, and I had the volume like pretty much all the way up. And
interesting.
Yeah, so maybe I don't know. Maybe I got one that just wanted to chill out. I don't know.
Maybe, you never know.
Okay. Oh wait, there's another email coming in. Dear Mattoverse, I have my drone tone, and I'm curious to know what new things you might be adding to the new one. I would love to know if it's even possible to have the drone affected by the actual guitar signal. Signed, liking my drone.
That's I've definitely experimented with that idea. There's the second run of the drone tone or whatever, those are already all built and ready to go. So for that, it won't be on that. But yeah, I've experimented with, I wanted to have it so that you could have more control over the drone with the guitar. But so far, I've only been able to make it be based on like how hard you hit the string would control the pitch. If that makes sense.
Yeah, that's kind of cool. Ooh, I like that.
But it didn't really work out.
Oh.
It didn't have enough range of, you know what I mean? Like you had to be pretty subtle with it to get what you wanted. But yeah, no, I think about that kind of stuff. The fact of it is, I guess I'm just going to have to learn how to do the microcontroller route, I guess. But I haven't really been dragging my feet because I already work on a computer for
all
my
day.
job.
Yeah.
And they're still just doing the videos and the circuit board
it's
layout,
hard, isn't it?
the schematics,
I do
I'm
the
still
same thing.
I'm on the computer still 80% of the time. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you get fatigued, man.
All of the be able to program and learn how to do that, and I'd literally be spending 99% of my time on a flipping computer, and that's that's part of the reason I started building pedals was to begin with was to do something with my hands that didn't have a screen.
Right. No, I completely relate, and what I do for my job, most people are. It's almost hard to find a job that you're not involved with a computer at this point. But Yeah, and then when you do your side projects, like, oh, I'm going to do these graphics or this video or this podcast or this music that I'm making. It's like, oh, guess what? You got to sit down and work a mouse again. And at a certain point, I just have to say, ouch.
Yeah,
I can't do it anymore today.
exactly.
Anyways, whatever. Computers, big dummies. Well, hey, man, I'm so glad that you that we were able to connect and get the word out. And I really hope that you get a wave of people saying, "Dang it, I wanted one of those. Make another one, man." Also, super excited for whatever crazy things that you come up with. So, anybody listening, if you've got a crazy idea for a pedal, send it to him. Yeah, and I can't guarantee that he will respond.
I always respond to people. I mean, I got a big list of ideas. Sometimes I think I got like too many pedals out already. I think like the more common wisdom is to like make like one pedal or two pedals and then put all your whatever marketing firepower into that. But that's just not how my brain works, unfortunately. So.
Well, you're doing a kick. I don't know what that is. A kicker job of it. You're doing a kicker job of it. Tell you what.
I need to have lots of different things to mess around with. So.
Yeah. Cool, man. Well, I'm gonna let you get back to building pedals. All right. All the new ones that aren't out yet. And for those of you who want one of these, go get in contact with Mattoverse.com or find them on Reverb. With that, I think we have something coming up right now. Would you rather? That's pretty good. The golden-throated little buddy Jared.
Oh, yeah.
All right. So, what is it?
Would you rather?
Yeah.
Oh, man, would you rather? Okay. Would you rather have the first tone bender pedal from way back in the day, or would you rather have the very first crybaby wah pedal? I mean, I'm talking the first, when they first came out and they were fresh off the assembly line, the first version of both pedals.
Which one do you want? All right, Matt, you first.
It's pretty tough. I'd probably have to go for the wah, I guess.
Ooh.
Just because it's sort of a, compared to like a box where you pushed a button on it, it sort of had a whole different mechanism going on with how it was built. You know what I mean?
Well, it had, I mean, it really had two things it did. It went, or
yeah. That's right.
Yeah, well, and I mean, that's iconic. When anybody thinks of a pedal, it's like that's kind of the first one you think of.
They still do that. I got the one I have.
They still make the wah sound?
I talked about that, I think, in a different episode.
Yeah.
My wife recognizes it in songs.
Yeah.
The wicka wicka.
Wicka
Calls it.
Jared, what are you doing?
Oh, I'm going to have to follow suit and do the old wah. Because I would probably use it more, maybe. Especially if it were the first one.
Yeah, I mean, you're really getting more of a mental thing.
It's more of a mental thing than actual sound for me, I think.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna go for I would choose the wah.
Okay.
It's sticking out at me.
All right.
So.
I'm going tone bender, man.
Okay.
I think for me, I like the idea that like the wah changed an existing sound, but it still retained the existing sound, and the tone bender literally completely changed the sound.
Oh yeah.
So I don't know. I think I would do that one, and it's a funky old pedal.
Yeah, they're cool.
Yeah, and expensive. Oh man, used OG tone benders are.
This was like a would you rather like get it? Somebody gave it to you. That'd be the option because I'd never buy.
Oh no, this would be the magical chest of gear.
Yeah, Fairy Godmother has a chest of old pedals.
Yeah, Genie.
Okay.
Right.
Lottery.
Genie. I like the Genie.
Yeah, the guitar Genie.
Yep.
All right. Well, hey Matt, this has been awesome, and
thanks so much, guys.
We are super stoked that you were able to join us again. Make sure that everybody out there who's listening, visit theguitarknobs.com and go check out what the new blog is with Matt's Four on the Floor. And we will wrap with you guys later. Thanks, Matt.
Thanks so much.
Oh, yeah, and subscribe!
Yeah.
That wasn't a question.
Well, that's it for these knobs. Please visit us at our website at theguitarknobs.com for episodes, news, and guest profiles. You can get all social with us on our Facebook group at facebook.com/groups/guitarknobs. Give us a tweet at guitar_knobs. And check out our gallery on Instagram at guitarknobs.